call the November meeting of the Bella Vista Village Association Property Owners Association Board of Directors to order. If everyone would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If everyone would remain standing, tonight's invocation is by Pastor Dennis Ritchie from the Presbyterian Church of Bella Vista. Pastor Ritchie.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we give you thanks for this day and for this gathering of the Board of Directors of the POA. For their giving of themselves to serve this community, we give you thanks. We pray that you would give them wisdom and strength and creativity as they seek to keep this ship afloat. That we would show one another civility, that we would respect one another, seeking to discern the way you would have us go as a community. We pray that we would speak kindly to one another, that we would not shout, that sometimes we might just agree to disagree. We pray for this community, praying that you would watch over us and bless us. It truly is a wonderful place to live. That you would use all of us to your glory, now and forever. Amen. Amen.
Everyone, be seated, please. Again, I'd like to thank all of you for coming. This is a bit of a change from our normal board meetings where we generally have a small handful of folks that come. So we will try and expedite things as quickly as we can. The next item on the agenda is additions or deletions to the agenda. Mr. Erickson?
Yes. Yesterday, the Weekly Vista contained an article which contained details of the proposed fee schedule for 2015. I would like to note that the POA board has not yet voted to either accept or reject the proposed 2015 fee schedule. Item 11A on the agenda tonight includes a discussion of the 2015 budget, but does not specifically address the proposed 2015 fee schedule. I would like to add item 11B, discussion of the proposed 2015 fee schedule, to the agenda.
Any objection from any board members? We will add item 11B, the fee schedule, to the agenda. Thank you. Next item is a report on the executive session held on October 20th. The board had an executive session on October 20th, 2014 to review the comments to the proposed general manager's employment agreement by the board's outside legal counsel and to prepare a final employment agreement. Okay. Next item is approval of minutes of the October 16th regular board meeting. I'd entertain a motion to have October 16th minutes approved.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? I'm in favor. Okay. Next item is the recognition of the Bella Vista Arts and Crafts Fair organizers. One of the privileges I have as board chairman is to recognize individuals who contribute their time and effort for the enjoyment and improvement of our community. With us tonight are Denise Williamson, who's the director of the Bella Vista Arts and Crafts Festival, Mary Sinkus, who's currently the assistant director and the director for the 2015 festival, and Edward Grant, who is president of the Village Arts Club of Bella Vista. Would the three of you please rise and be recognized? Just to give you a little bit of background, the Village Art Club of Bella Vista is the sponsoring organization for the Craft Festival in October and the smaller Art on the Creek event in May. In addition to monies granted to partner organizations, the proceeds provide scholarships for continuing art education, art camps, and donations to area grade school art programs. In 2014, those donations totaled $14,100, as well as sustaining the Wishing Springs Gallery on the south end of the village. This does a lot of good for the community. This year's Arts and Crafts Festival was the 46th annual festival. This festival began in 1969. There were 290 exhibitors filling nearly 325 spaces, with a number of exhibitors occupying multiple exhibit spaces. The fair worked with 10 partner organizations: the Bella Vista Police Department and paramedics, Rabbit High School boys and girls basketball teams, American Legion, Bella Vista Lutheran Church, Sunrise Rotary, Lifeline Christian Motorcycle Club, White Rock Parent-Teacher Organization, Bentonville Kiwanis, St. Bernard's Men's Club, and provided grants to these organizations exceeding $16,000 for their help in organizing and conducting the festival. There were an estimated 250 volunteers provided by partners, and an additional 75 people who volunteered in the office as ambassadors, in the information booth, and doing various other jobs. Bella Vista Police Chief Ken Farmer estimated there were over 40,000 visitors in 2013, and probably more in 2014. I'd like to emphasize that this event is bigger than just the Village Art Club, and many facets of our community are being benefited from our partner organizations, the city sales tax revenue, to exposure to our beautiful community, Bella Vista Village, and to the promotion of arts in our community. Thank you, Denise, Edward, and Mary, for your time and effort to make this a very successful event for our community. And Denise, if you wouldn't mind maybe approaching the microphone and maybe giving us a little comment about what makes this festival successful.
Thank you, Charlie. As Charlie just mentioned, there are a lot of people that are involved in making this a successful event. Upwards of 300 volunteers are needed during the weekend to pull this off. Granted, the Village Art Club is the sponsoring event, but we do need volunteers from the community. We do, all of the organizations that we partner with at the moment, the Rotary, the Kiwanis, the Rabbit, everybody puts that money that they get from us back into this community. So it's a good thing for the weekend, for their projects, for the rest of the community after the weekend is over. But the members of the art club members are getting older, and we need to continue this event for our community. So if all of you could bring one friend and come to volunteer, let me see, I'm thinking that's 200 more people that we could get, and this would be a wonderful thing. I was not a member of the art club before I took on this directorship, but I took it on because it is a vital event for our community. And I would hate to see it die because we just can't get the people out there. I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you about this, and thank the board for acknowledging that, yes, we are a really good event for this community.
Yeah. Again, thank you very much. And there are a number of events that take place in the village similar to the art festival that are organized and conducted by volunteers, and it's nice to be able to recognize them for their contribution. Tonight's general manager's report.
Good evening. I talked a little bit about the things that happened in October. I'll try to move rather quickly through here. As we've been reporting every month for about 8 months now that we are moving towards the Total E software, which is going to replace our Fairway system, which has been our long-term golf POS system, as well as our membership system. During the month, we installed our Citrix receiver, and this is for the golf shops and the recreational computers that are going to be at the point of sale. We're testing the scripts of moving the Cogsdale data, which is where all of our membership data is today. We're cleaning it up and testing the scripts to move that over to the Total E. Customizations, we did have some customizations that was needed with the software. We've gotten those updated and now have included those in our training database. We're continuing to set up inventory within the system. We're testing our data conversion, setting up our wise thin clients. We've talked about that this is more than just a software update. We're also doing a major architectural change within our network. We also have ordered the IVR cards. This is the voice recognitions that we use in our golf tee time system. Testing the water billing in Scottsdale, which is where we currently do all the water billing as well, but water billing will remain in Cogsdale, excuse me. We're extracting the assessment locations.
Cogsdale is the software program for the water system.
It's all of our current system. It will be on our just water once we've moved over to Total E.
Okay, so we're keeping the current software for water and transitioning everything else to a new software system.
That's correct.
Okay.
Scottsdale was a utility software. That was what it was originally purposed for, but there was no membership type software out there that would handle our organization, so we customized Cogsdale to do that. As far as things that we'll be doing here fairly quickly, we'll start the point-of-sale training for the recreational facilities in the RV park. Most of our recreational facilities did not have POS before. They were generally done just by hand check-off or hand count. Working on the purchasing side for the golf division. Again, that was done in Fairways versus our normal purchasing system. Setting up our credit card processing details. We've selected the mini pads that we're going to use for the debit and credit swipe cards. Again, registrations were not done in Cogsdale, so this is going to be an added feature, and so we're setting those up. We'll be setting those up. Also, events, tournaments, banquets, all those things were not a part of what we do today. We do those all manually, and so we're going to be adding those into the system, setting up all the workflow to the GL, and then we'll have to start training the people who said a lot of them do not use point of sale as it is now, so we're going to start doing a lot of training of our employees. And we are, as we have been, on schedule. A few of the things, just as examples of the type of things that we've had this month of October. We have not had a lot of this lately, but this month we had 2 lines that were broke by a contractor. We had a lot of that during the housing boom, but we have not seen a lot of that lately. And so we had a couple of those to hit 2 different 6-inch lines, which of course will lose a lot of water. We do charge those contractors. We go back to them and we charge them for the labor and the materials and such. Just water main lines, as you can see here, the collar had failed. We only had 3 2-inch line breaks, 18 1-inch service line breaks. We're continuing to try to catch up on street cuts. We're had a lot of those done, but during the flood, all of our people who usually worked on these worked on recovery of the golf courses and all the rest of the things, so we got behind on the street cuts, and so now we're still playing catch up. Replaced one of our hot boxes there for the backflow protector at Blowing Springs. Of course, this is the time of year that we're out removing a lot of leaves, and certainly we've been doing a lot of that, cleaning out the gutters, repairing those, starting to winterize our facilities. Those that are out there in our parks with restrooms and such as that, we're connecting all of the water and removing the fixtures. Pool winterization, putting the covers on those, getting them ready. We also, of course, had our fall white goods pickup, and that's something that we worked with the waste people with. We collect the articles, we remove the freon and things like that, and so that they will take them. Did some work around the Highlands Clubhouse. This is power washing and staining the deck. We replaced a fence out there. We had problems with the unit, the hood system here at the country club. We had to do some work in. It was requested that we take the iron fence down. This was in conjunction with the Metfield neighbors with a project that they're working with us on. And so we took the fence around the building down. Working on just other parts of winterization, like placing weather strips. We did have to rebuild. Most of you may know the history of Reardon Hall, but at one time, all of Reardon Hall had a large awning all the way around it. And we, over time, have taken that in to add space. With its low point and all of that, there's constant problems with water encroachment in there. So there's always rot, and this area had to be rebuilt. It's a finished product. Certainly we have, with all of our trails that we're developing now, between Tanyard Creek, Blowing Springs, both of those have a lot of wood in them. We know we've been losing a lot of trees over the last 3 years with the droughts, and so it's taken quite a bit of maintenance to keep those trees removed to make it safe. Just some trees removing over Tyree Park. We built some rifle stands. We did not have any type of things like this. People just laid them on the picnic tables, and so we did build some and replace that. We're continuing to work on the area that we hope that someday will be the new 4th trap skeet range. We're working on this now, that we will be using all of this material here, the root balls and the trees, to use natural stream restoration for the Tanyard Creek project, which we'll be working on here within the next month or so. Fertilizing our grounds for the fall fertilization. Cleaning out the emergency access area at the Tanyard Creek Nature Trail. It had grown up. Switching over to golf. This is where we are at the end of October. 170,000 rounds. As you can see, that's a little bit less than 2013. As we continue to see this, hopefully this is starting to flatten out a little bit more. And of course, we know we had the anomaly that happened in 2012. A few things that we had to do just within the golf area, water heater replacement. This is the second month in a row that we've had problems with one of our lifts at our maintenance shop. This one was at the Highlands, doing some door repairs and such as that. We had to replace the septic system lid. This is a major project that we did. Essentially, the latest flood had really wiped this area out on number 11 at Burksdale. We were getting concerned that we were going to lose this whole path. Once you get past that drop-off after there, a lot of that place had been built with field, and we were afraid that if we didn't somehow fortify this, that we were going to lose that whole cart path. And so we come in, cleaned all that out, widened this area, and of course put in, now we have this wall that we hope will keep the water, and hopefully we'll slow it down, and we put a bunch of riprap here at the bottom to slow the water down as it's coming over that drop. It was mentioned, and I guess we'll mention it again at the open forum last month, that we did have some washing on Scottsdale, and there was an issue that when we rebuilt this, there was an area that we were going to wait to see what happened with it before we decided to go ahead and make a change up there. And so it did flood, it did wash it along this area, and so they did go back and make those changes after they saw the way the water was running. Some more additional work there. And then as far as we've been working on stay and play packages within Bella Vista, of course we've had vacation rentals for a long time. We now have gotten agreements with Courtyard, with Hilton Garden, and Simmons. We're working on finalizing the one with Indigo Sky, and we've proposed one to the Holiday Inn at Springdale. As far as other efforts around golf marketing that we have done lately, We did a presentation to 38 future leaders about golf outings and brochures for the Northwest Arkansas Leadership Group. We also went to a marketing workshop with the Rogers Lowell Chamber of Commerce. We displayed information about our outings as well as our stay and play packages at the Northwest Arkansas Business Expo. Northwest Arkansas Job Fair, we took part in that and we could talk to HR managers and such. We went to the Bentonville Open House at the Courtyard Marriott. Here was a SuperCon. This was done just a few weeks ago, distributing materials about our venue space as well as golf outings. NOARC is the HR Northwest Arkansas. Bentonville Bella Vista Chamber of Commerce, we have tournaments with them almost every year, and this year we set up an area out at Metfield to talk about the venue space and the outings to the people who were participating. Moving on to lakes, we installed a new fish cleaning station on Lake Rayburn. This was something that a couple had approached the Fly Tires to ask if they could contribute towards one of these, and so the Fly Tires matched that money, and then we provided the rest to put in this fish cleaning station. We found, it's not unusual, but we did find a pontoon boat adrift, and the Lake Ranger did get it and bring it up and notified the owner. We replaced some damaged buoys, put in one new one that we had to replace as well as repair some. Just some mowing along our areas. This is we just got this machine this year. This is, as you can see, is made for this type of mowing on these slopes, and so we have now provided a much safer mowing machine than what we've had in the past trying to do that. Interesting enough, someone decided to steal the vent at the Tyree men's restroom, so just throw that in. This is something that we've been working with the Fly Tires. They bought some, we've bought some, and with artificial habitat structures. We were sinking these on Lake Brittany. We also put some down in Avalon. We conducted our daytime electrofishing, trying to catch things that like crappie and such that'll be up around the bank this time of year. We also did some gill netting on Norwood. Fly Tires gave us about $3,000 to be able to stock 4,500 black crappie in Lake Avalon. Just getting the fall landscaping done around the Veterans Wall of Honor. We have just recently bought us a sleigh, and we are painting it and getting it ready for the Festival of Lights. It will be one of the features there. And of course, we have a joint spooktacular with the library every year. We've been doing this, I guess, for going on like 7 or 8 years now. And it is a very big and look forward to event. And that concludes my report.
Any questions from the board members?
I have one.
Go ahead, Bob.
It seems like every month we hear something the Fly Tires are doing or contributing, and I'd like to know if we have a figure, the amount of money that they're contributing to our community.
I don't have it off the top of my head. The last time they gave us a check, I gave a reporting of quite a few of the things that they've done over the years. I can certainly supply you a copy of that.
Thank you.
I can tell you roughly it's between $20,000 and $30,000 in the last 3 years.
That's a fantastic commitment
It
to
is.
this community, and we need to, I think, recognize that in some way.
And we will. That's a good point. Dave?
I just had a question, Tommy. Some time ago, we had a member ask about an archery range at the gun range. Has anything come of that? Are you still looking into that?
Actually, that was on the capital projects that you guys agreed to fund when I brought back our priority listing. So it is a part of the budget now as presented.
And that was something that was discussed at the Recreation Joint Advisory Committee, and that would be in my report later on in the meeting. The only 2 items that I want to mention as part of the general manager's report is we have been on a monthly basis keeping track of individuals that have bought property in Bella Vista that aren't currently owners of Bella Vista property. In the month of October, we had 69 new property owners. In comparison, in the month of September, we had 95. So we're getting people to invest in Bella Vista on a fairly regular basis. The other thing I wanted to point out is that during the month of October, we collected $103,000 in past due assessments. So there is some effort being made on a regular basis to take care of that. The next item on the agenda, previous open forum comments. At October's board meeting, there was a comment from a member about the Scottsdale 13 poll and the erosion that was occurring. Tommy gave a little report in his general manager's report about that. There also was a comment about the golf course bathrooms in ADA, and we're looking into how we can resolve that at a minimum of expense. There also was a member that mentioned that he would support having POA amenities transferred to the city of Bella Vista for $1. We talked about that not being a particularly good idea. And there was a member who was complaining about a ongoing congregating of young people at the Avalon Park Pavilion. I talked to that member several times in the last several months. It sort of is on my route when I'm doing errands, and I've gone by there, and it appears like that has just kind of gone away. But we'll keep continuing to monitor that. We've also contacted the Bella Vista Police Department and notified them of that situation. The next item on the agenda is open forum. There is a board policy, 1.07, that addresses board meetings and also open forum. And what I'd like to do with the number of people that are here this evening is generally try and follow that policy, recognizing that obviously people have things that they'd like to share with us. We certainly want to hear from anyone who has made the effort to attend. The policy talks about a 3-minute limit. I haven't been using the clock since I've been chairman of this board. So I would hope that those of you who choose to address us will take into account that there are other people that have things that they'd like to share with us. So with that, Linda. Would you state your name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Linda Lloyd, 21 Verwood Drive. I have two things. First, I wanted to publicly thank Kathy Ferguson and Ruth Hatcher for their great job on the Bella Vista monument signs. Primo, good job. But I'm mostly here to speak about Paul Pouch and the tennis program in Bella Vista. Last weekend, a tennis team that I was on went to Little Rock, and we won the state championship, and we will be headed to Auburn, Alabama to represent Arkansas. There have been a lot of state championships that have come out of the Bella Vista Tennis Center this year, last year, the year before, etc. And a lot of this would not have happened had it not been for Paul. For more than 20 years, he's done an amazing event for the Cancer Challenge, and along with his wife has also done a benefit event for the Arkansas Children's Hospital. You all are constantly talking about bringing people into Bella Vista from other places. Both of those events bring lots of people here from the whole region. So it's amazing exposure for the city of Bella Vista. In addition, Paul generally works 7 days a week. He runs kids camps, and the successful tennis program is very important to those of us in the community who are involved in tennis. We're starting up with the Ambassadors program, where we have tennis people come and we give them the same kind of tours that the golf people do. So I would heartily recommend that Paul's contract be extended for 1 more year. Thank you.
Thank you. For those of you who don't know Paul Pouch, I know he's here tonight. Paul? Thank you. Anyone else? It's open mic night.
Well, my name is Charlie Arnold. I live at 31 Cargill Drive. First, Mr. Teal, I'd like to thank you for your leadership and the entire POA for all you're doing. I know you can't please everyone. I'm here just to basically voice my concern that yesterday I found out that you were proposing to tax me for living on the lake. I hope that you don't consider that. I think it's a foolish thing to do. I'll leave it at that. Mr. Bailey, I've heard a lot about you in 11 years I've been here, but I've never met you. And I would encourage you to be a little bit more transparent in your GM report. I'm very impressed. I would make a suggestion that in the monthly water bill newsletter, you put a GM report in just like that, and maybe more citizens like myself would be more informed of the things that are happening in Bella Vista, because right now, you're pretty transparent. So I would encourage you to maybe do that in that newsletter. That newsletter is a very valuable resource for communication, not the newspaper. Yesterday, the newspaper came out talking about the tax, and today's the meeting for the lakefront property. Not everyone hears about that information. I think if you take advantage of that newsletter and use it as a communication tool, it would be very beneficial. I'm very impressed with everything you do in Bella Vista. Based on that report, I had no clue all that was happening. So communicate it, and I think that will help a lot of people understand some of the things that are happening. Just no surprises. And the problem right now is people think it's surprises because you're not communicating to us. So I'd ask for more communication.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the things I might mention, Mr. Arnold, is those kinds of comments are very helpful to the board, because in a lot of times we're close to the issue, but we don't look at it from the same altitude that the members do. And so what we need is a little more, hopefully, positive feedback that will help us do a better job in communicating what we would like to communicate with folks like you.
It's my first meeting, and that was a real wake-up call, that GM report.
Thank you.
But please use that newsletter that comes out monthly. Everyone gets that,
Mhm.
not the newspaper.
Good.
We don't all get the
Okay.
newspaper.
Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else? Don?
My name is Don Purser. I live at 3 Kendall Drive. I have been trying to understand the logic behind the proposed private cart registration fee increase. For a private cart to cost the same thing as a lease cart, but the lease cart, the POA has some expenses. They have to lease the cart, they have to store it, they have to put gas in it, they have to maintain it. With a private cart, the POA has no expenses. The individual maintains all expenses for a private cart. The private cart is all profit to the POA. With this proposed fee, I'm seriously considering getting rid of my private cart because it costs the same as a seat lease. If everyone that has a private cart gets rid of their private carts, the POA is going to need to lease considerable more more carts, and you're going to have storage. It's going to increase your expenses. Whereas the private cart, from my standpoint, what it looks like to me, is pure profit. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comment from the board? No? Okay. Mike?
Now, that'll be one of the topics that I want to bring up in the item 11B for the fee structure.
Okay. Fine. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Bill Dittman, 27 Mona Drive, Bella Vista. Thank you for your work that you do for the board here. You don't get the recognition that you probably should at times. But I am also here to talk about the proposal for the fee increases. Private carts, like he said, I think that's ridiculous what you're doing with that. I really do. You're going to knock down the rounds of golf, because a lot of gentlemen are going to quit golfing here because of that. Number two, with the proposal, is we are losing hundreds, if not thousands, of rounds of golf every year to surrounding areas, other golf courses. People that come and visit people in the village here, they're not, and with your new fees, you're talking $95 a round for 2 people to go up. We can go over to any 20 miles and golf for $34 to $44 a round for 2 people with a cart. And we do this every last Thursday of the month. So I know that it's true that you can do that. The other thing, like I said, the private cart. Other proposals, everything on the golf is going up also. Other proposals that, I have a list here that you have. Lake slips and rentals. 1 is going down, 9 remain the same. Lake use fees, 1 is new, 12 remain the same. Park pavilions, 1 is up, 9 remain the same. Recreation facilities, 1 increase, 9 remain the same. Reardon, Ranchwood, Medfield, 10 decreases in the fees. That's not right. That's not right at all. And if you look at the proposals on there, they went down, some of them haven't been much. And you can't include sales tax in an increase. That is not right, because you should have been charging sales tax on that all along.
Well, we haven't been, and at some point in time, we've
Right.
got to correct that. Okay,
That's
so-
right, but
so
you
the
can't,
fee-
you can't include that as an increase to the fee, because sales tax is a tax. It's not an increase to the fee. That's a sales tax. Just hear me out, Charlie.
Okay, okay.
But there's 10 decreases to these places. The pools have 7 decreases in fees. The RV park, all 8 are decreases. The gun range has 4 increases, 1 the same and 1 decrease, and that's for a membership, or a guest member to come in to use the golf range, is a decrease. We have no fees for walking trails, we have no fees for dog parks. I know they're expense, but they're still an amenity for our area. And I'm really kind of upset that, you look at all these and see all the things that remain the same, and I love this area. We moved here a year ago, and we really, really enjoy it. But when you look at all the amenities that we have, the fees need to be the same all the way across the board. If you're going to raise a fee, raise it across the board for everything. You shouldn't be decreasing things. You need to go up on the fees. Go up on everything. Everything costs more money. We feel that the percentage of the increase should be, raised across the board. And, if we would have had an assessment increase, probably half of us wouldn't be here tonight. That's the sad thing about it. But, the no votes, that's also something that was voted, and that goes across the board. To have no increase in the fees is like a slap in the face to those of us that have to pay such a high increase in the fees. And we like to golf. I don't mind paying more money to golf, but I don't want to get ripped off, like this gentleman was saying with the private carts. Please consider an increase to the, not a tax, but an increase across the board, and to lower the private cart fees and to lower the guest golf fees, to keep them on our courses when they're visiting our area. And what a guest fee area we have to, or what a great area that we have to offer guests that come to this area. And hopefully, they might buy a lot or stick around.
Sure.
But I'd really suggest to look at that. If somebody is golfing in this area with a member, that the fee I really feel strongly about would be $50 for a couple. And I think that would go up hundreds, if not thousands of rounds of golf.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any comment from the board? Yes, sir.
My name is Bird Williams. I live at 58 Elizabeth Drive. These 2 gentlemen talked about some of the things that I wanted to propose to you, but one of the things that I really feel strongly about is that most businesses, when they provide product or service, they decide what it costs them to furnish it, and then they decide what they're going to charge for it. Now, you're in a nonprofit business and you have assessments. I feel that all of our amenities should have the same assessment support, percentage-wise. If you were to do that, you would have a tremendous difference in some of the fees at our non-golfing amenities. As an example, let's say it costs you $1,000 to run Reardon Hall for a month, and you get $2,000 people that visit it every month. That figures out to $10 a head. Say the assessment was going to subsidize that by 20%. You let them in there free, and they should be paying $6 or $8. That doesn't make any sense to me to give away our amenities in those areas and then charge golfers more. Golf pays the most percentage of its.
And has the most expense.
Pardon me?
And has the most expense.
Yes, but it pays a higher percentage of its way of any amenity in the village, doesn't it? Isn't that right, Charlie?
Well, it generates the most revenue of any amenity, but it has the highest expense.
That's right.
And if your theory would be applied, then golf fees would likely increase
Well,
significantly more than what we're proposing.
we're not arguing that golf shouldn't pay a little bit more.
Right.
Now, the other point that they talked about was the private card fee, and I got a very nice email from you. And I assume,
In a timely basis, too.
yes, you did. And from what I understood from your email, you're assuming that there are always two people in the cart, private cart, one of whom does not have a cart lease or is a wife.
That occurs on a
I
fairly regular
submit to
basis.
you that that is not the case. Every time I take my personal cart out, I usually have another member who has a lease or his own cart with me. And my wife has only played 3 rounds of golf this year, and she never used our cart once.
Okay.
And I think that's the case in a lot of cases. Most of the private carts are used by the men or the women, but not both.
Right.
So I would urge you to relook at that private cart thing.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you notifying us of your concern, and I would encourage anyone else that has questions or issues to contact the board. We'll try and be very prompt in replying as we did with you.
Good show.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Larry Roller, 31 Kaleen Drive. I have a private cart. My wife does not play. I'm the only one that ever drives it. Why I have to almost double my fees is just beyond me. I agree with the other gentleman. It looks to me like if you need a 5% increase, take 5% across the board, everybody. But, you know, the private cart owners to almost double our fee when others stay the same, others go down. It's just not fair. It's just not fair.
Okay. Understand. Thank you. Ralph?
Short guy compared to him. Ralph Patterson, 34 Aranic Drive. I'm actually here to speak on the fee proposal. I made some notes so I don't forget anything. With the members, along with other members, I think all the board members know me pretty well. And with the Bella Vista ambassadors, I spend hours, literally hours, supporting Bella Vista and Bella Vista amenities. So I'm a huge supporter of the POA and a huge supporter of Bella Vista. However, I'm really concerned about the proposed fee structure, and I definitely, from what I've heard tonight and what I'm going to say, I would suggest that the board at least table this and go back and look at it again. There's so many things that need to be revised before this thing is put into place. I'm pretty concerned about the proposed post facto dock fee for owners of property on the lakes, and there's several reasons for this. First and foremost, this could never be considered a user fee. As someone who lives on the lake and someone who has served on the POA Docks Committee, I have been on every lake in Bella Vista. Except for Dave, I've probably spent more time on our lakes than any of you, I can assure you. And I can tell you that 25 to 30% of our docks are either never used or used maybe once a year. Most of them in that category are never used. And so the proposal here then could not be considered a use fee. Instead, it's a structure fee. Secondly, 95% of the docks built on this lake were built to conform with POA and ACC requirements, and those requirements caused these docks to be very expensive compared to docks on for instance, the Corps of Engineer Lake or other lakes like this. Many of these lakes easily could have cost the owner upwards of, well, at least $9,000, as many as $18,000 to $20,000 to put a dock in to conform with what the ACC requires. Higher, okay. The dock owners, in order to maintain these docks, according to POA requirements, I can tell you I spend more than $100 a year just maintaining my dock to meet your standards for requirements, so that we already have that expense. And thirdly, this type of post facto fee would cause, I believe, significant harm to the relationship between lake owners and the POA board. The POA already has a problem with a lot of people hating it, and believe you me, I know you guys, you don't deserve that hatred, but it's out there.
Maybe not all the time.
Yeah, that's right. But I mean, this is just going to create animosity that really doesn't need to be there. This is a structure fee. It's not a use fee, no matter how you consider it. And lastly, the high probability of a lawsuit by dock owners would cost the POA significantly, and the likelihood of the POA winning that is very, very low, because there's no way you could prove that it's a use fee. It couldn't be considered a user fee, and I don't think you could prove that in court. I would never instigate a lawsuit against the POA, but I can tell you, if someone did it just out of moral reasons and principle, I would probably support it, because I don't think it's a user fee. There are many other user fees that could be instituted. I noticed we have thousands of card players that come into our facilities and use up heat and air and what have you like that. I mean, these people are not being charged. I mean, all of us need to be contributing, but I think these fees need to be totally considered. I ask you to table this and look at these fees seriously before proceeding. And I thank you for their time, and thank you for your service.
Okay.
Ralph, give me your opinion of the use of water to water someone's yard, bringing it out of the lake. Would that be a use?
That would be a user fee.
Okay. All right.
And if you decided to do that, you know, I use the water out of the lake, I can understand that. But
Okay.
a dock, a structure fee.
I just wanted to get, thank you.
And for the record, Ralph, I'm only here to give my wife a little time to herself.
I understand.
Yeah. I think with Ralph being here, I'd just like to comment. Ralph and the Bella Vista ambassadors have been working with the Marketing and Communications Committee now for it's been a number of years. They have done a very good job as volunteers promoting our community to potential property owners, to the point of inviting people into their homes, giving them tours of the community, going to dinner with these potential buyers, and I applaud Ralph and his ambassadors for the work that he's done in promoting Bella Vista. Thank you. Mickey?
Mickey Steele, 13 Leewood Lane. Just a couple comments on personal golf carts. My wife and I played approximately 200 rounds so far this year. 75% of those have been with someone besides each other. Every time, including today, I play golf and there's a seat lease person riding with me. And that's got to be right around 150 rounds this year that we carried a seat lease person around. I think by raising your fees, a lot of people are going to discontinue their carts. They're going to get a private cart, seat lease from you, and you're gonna have to get more carts. And the other thing, us people with the private carts, when it's 40 degrees, we're playing golf, most of us. We've got a heater, we've got covers on our carts, and we play golf year-round. And you go to the golf course on a 40-degree day and see how many lease carts are being used. It's us guys that are out there making the rounds and building up the rounds that you need to pay for the golf. The other thing, as far as the golf expense, I think you need to get a bid from some management company, golf management company, and find out what they would manage these golf courses for. Today I played golf at 115. There's a POA truck sitting there with a guy picking persimmons off a persimmon tree. He had a bucket full of them. Guarantee POA is paying his wages by picking persimmons. I've been out to the to the gun range and seen 8 POA trucks out there at one time. And just a nice place to hide. That's all I've got for you. I appreciate your service. I know you don't get paid a lot for this, so. Thanks. Yeah.
Anyone else?
I'd like to add one more thing because I didn't ask him a question. I just want to say I disagree with charging a user fee for pumping water out of the lake because the POA does not pay any money to put that water in there. That comes from God. You don't pay any money to take it out of there. And we water our lawns, yes, with that water, but it makes for a beautiful lakefront for boaters out of the lake, too. So I just want to go on record that I disagree with any consideration for taxing someone for living on the lake in any way possible.
Okay. Last chance for open forum, then we'll move on. Okay, thank you, Mike.
Since most of the open forum comments have revolved around the user fee and the fee schedule for 2015, is there any chance we could swap position with that in the discussion of the budget?
Any objection to having item 11B discussed before 11A? Hearing none, let's move on to fees.
Okay. My name is Mike Erickson. I currently serve as the chairman of the Rules and Regulations Committee. I spent a lot of time reviewing the proposed 2015 fee schedule and also the related current POA governing documents. It is my position that the proposed new lakefront dock fee is in conflict with various provisions of Board Policy 8.032, which is titled Docks and/or Boathouse Policy. I believe that it is more of an assessment increase than it is a user fee. I believe it's in the best interest of the board to delete this specific fee from the proposed 2015 fee schedule and allow the board and our legal counsel time to review this to see if it really is a conflict, because I think we're going to have some legal issues. Therefore, I would like to enter a motion to delete the new lakefront dock fee from the proposed 2015 schedule.
Second?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to amend that motion.
I need a second to the original motion. Okay. Bob?
I'd like to entertain an amendment to the motion to allow an increase in boat registration fees to help offset any loss of revenue derived from the proposed new lake front dock fee not being utilized.
Okay.
Specifically, I'd like to look at boats over 20 feet being charged $195, boats 16 to 20 feet, $150, boats less than 16 feet, $120, boats with less than 10 horsepower, $100, and boats without engines, $14.
Second the motion. Any discussion? Or me? Second the amendment. Okay.
I have no objection to amending the motion, specifically because boat fees, boat registration is, in my opinion, a user fee, whereas the structure fee is not. So the only thing I would like to know is the percentage of increase across the different boats. Is that essentially the same, somewhere in the 18 to 20% the way I calculate? Is that pretty much the same across the board? With rounding, yeah. So I have no objection to modifying the.
Any discussion regarding the motion, Ruth?
My question is tax on top of the fee.
Yes.
Yes.
Plus tax.
Okay. Any further discussion? Call for a vote. From me? Look,
It's all one now.
it's all one now. Yeah, we're voting on the amended motion. Mr. Parliamentarian?
The motion is to remove the lake fee from the proposed fee schedule as is current and revise the boat registration fee, implement a boat registration increase as stipulated by Mr. Brooks, which would be $14 for non-motorized annual boat registration, $100 for annual boat registration for less than 10 horsepower, $120 for under 16 feet, $150 for 16 to 20 feet, and $195 for over 20 feet. All in favor? Any opposed?
Abstains. All right. What we should probably do, in light of some of the discussion that's taken place, is talk a little bit about the private cart registration fee. And I'd entertain a motion to amend that $600 annual cart fee, private cart fee.
I would propose that it go to $500 instead of $600.
Okay. And any second on the motion? Dave? Discussion? Mike?
I have a lot of opinions tonight. First of all, I believe that the private car registration going from $375 to $600 is excessive, especially when you compare it to other golf-related fees. What a lot of people probably don't understand, and I understand that the position of the Golf Joint Advisory Committee and others who believe that private cart owners have had some added benefits by allowing non-owners and non-cart lease members to ride with them without having to pay a fee to the golf course as part of the POA. I understand it. This has been a very controversial issue for many years, not just this year. I don't believe that a fee increase will ultimately solve the problem. I think what it's going to take is the Golf Advisory Committee, some of the various golf groups, to sit down over a table, negotiate some of this, and try and come up with a way that everybody understands what's going on and how to make it fair. So my opinion is, I would like to not go ahead with a change in the golf cart fee for the private golf carts until we sit down and go over this as a joint effort. I think right now, I don't think it's going to end up being a fair position. Both sides, I think, need to have their say. We're losing revenue by allowing non-cart owners, non-cart lease people to ride for free. The country club that I belong to in California when you walked in the pro shop, they only asked you two things. Are you going to walk or are you going to ride? If you're going to walk, it didn't cost you anything for a cart. If you were going to ride, it didn't matter whether you were going to ride in a private cart or whether you were going to ride in a lease. You paid half of cart seat for a day.
Okay. Any other comments? This board follows simplified Robert's Rules of Order. And according to Robert's Rules of Order, if the majority of this board decides to lay that motion on the table and have a further consideration of that motion, we could procedurally entertain a motion to lay this matter on the table. I'd entertain a motion. Now, the way the Robert's Rules of Order works is if someone introduces that motion, there is no discussion regarding that motion. It's a simple up or down vote. So I want everyone to understand that's what the process is according to the procedural rules that we follow.
But don't you already have a motion on the table, sir?
You can have some discussion of that one, but if someone wants to defer a vote on the motion that's currently on the table, we could entertain that if that's what the board's interest is.
Can we do that after we hear from anyone who wants to speak?
We
in
can
favor
do it
of
at-
increasing the private cart fee?
We can do it at any point in time. I'm just pointing that out to the board from a procedural
I would
standpoint.
invite those of the board who want to speak in favor of the private cart fee increase to do so now.
Well, I've shared this many times, and I think I'll share it again, since we're in this forum. The private lease allows the owner and a designated person to use that cart. The designated person does not have to pay a fee for using that cart. So if myself and my wife have a cart and I go to play at 9 o'clock at Burksdale and she goes to Highlands and plays, she can take the cart and use it. I can go to Burksdale and simply get on a cart with someone else without paying for it. My wife can have someone join her at the Highlands by simply getting on her cart and not having to pay for it. In that situation, the people that are winning are the 4 people riding. The people that are losing are the people that are buying an annual seat lease and are people that are buying a daily seat lease, because they're going to have to pay more because not as many people are paying their own way. Now, Mike, Director Erickson made a good point. If we had a perfect world in which each person that came into our pro shop would be charged for using our cart, regardless if they had a private cart or not, I don't think we'd be having this discussion. But a few years ago, that was attempted to be instituted, and the uproar was apparently so large that that was reconsidered. We have 500 private cart leasees, and we have double the seat lease purchasers, and we have a lot of people that pay as they go. And I feel we're doing a disservice to the largest group of members by allowing the opportunity for the impropriety of a private cart situation to take place. Now, I know we've had a number of people say that, well, nobody rides with me that doesn't have a seat lease. But I also know that from personal experience out on the golf course and in the pro shops, that there are an awful lot of people that are taking advantage of this. And what they're really doing is stealing from our POA. We've been told that to police an action would be next to impossible. And so when you look at, from my perspective, what is best for the majority of our members and what's best for the revenue stream that we need to maintain our golf courses, I feel that the private lease fee should be the same as an annual seat lease.
I in no way feel that the private cart should not go up. I just feel that going up to $600 is too much in 1 year. And that's why I propose that it goes to $500 instead.
Any other comment?
Just clarification, Ruth, if it goes to 500, nothing else changes. Is that correct? I mean, you would still have non-cart owners, non-lease seat people being able to ride with the current cart owners. Potentially. And that kind of supports what I said. I still think long-term, to really resolve the problem, we have to have a combined effort between the various golf groups and the golf players that are the frequent players and the Golf Joint Advisory Committee to come up with a solution to the problem that's satisfactory to everybody. It's really difficult for the board to lay it on people to just increase fees. That's a 60% increase to go to $600. That's a pretty healthy thing. And I understand all of the arguments, Bob. You and I have had this discussion more than once. I would just like to see us pursue it a little bit more before we make a decision.
I also want to point out that the Golf Advisory was asked about fees, et cetera, and that's the only fee that they did not agree with as far as going up. They thought that it was acceptable for others, but they thought that was too much of a jump in 1 year.
John?
Just as a matter of clarification, and somebody that actually has a fee scheduling problem, if a couple gets 2 seat leases, it costs them almost $1,000, $950. If a couple gets a private card, we're considering whether it's $600 or $500, so still a substantial savings over a couple playing golf versus a couple playing golf.
Brad, any comment? Joan?
I think it's important that the Joint Advisory Committee has discussed this a number of times. And Ruth, can you explain why they weren't comfortable with 600 as being too much of a jump? Was there an amount that they were comfortable with?
500 they were comfortable with.
Linda, anything to add? No? Anyone else? Motion?
The proposed motion is to amend the proposed private cart registration fee proposal from $600 to $500. All in favor? Any opposed? ayes have it.
Motion passes.
Motion passes.
What I think would be helpful at this point is to go through the remaining fee schedule to see if there are any other items that any of the board wants to comment on. Could we put that on the screen?
But before we do, I'm not sure people understand the sales tax.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me sort of explain that.
That we have been paying it,
Right.
POA's been paying it.
When we looked at fees in 2014 and prior years, the fees were an established dollar amount, which had embedded in that amount a sales tax that the association paid to the appropriate taxing authorities. So for example, the $15 greens fee for a member with the value card in 2014 had embedded in that a portion of all of the sales tax that relates to that particular charge. So our sales tax obligation for fees which were embedded was $300 and some thousand dollars. Right. So what we're proposing with the 2015 fee schedule is to finally get to a point where there's a recognition that that sales tax is part of what a obligation is, so that the amount that the POA has established for the fees is what comes into our revenue stream. And the tax that's associated with those fees ends up going to the appropriate taxing authority. So we've got to start somewhere, and this board has decided that we're going to start at this juncture. So what we've attempted to do where we could is to adjust the amount of the user fee to ensure that the majority of the user fee plus the sales tax will either be a whole dollar or a $half amount for the convenience of members and staff. So that's sort of the concept that we're operating under. Okay? So why don't we just sort of go through the fees?
8.5%.
Yeah, it's 8.5%. Okay.
In nearly all cases. There's a few exceptions that may, and the very first line is one of those exceptions as I understand it. So if people take 1552 times 1.085, you don't get a round number. And due to the interesting intricacies of Arkansas state law, when you lease a cart for 1 day, you pay 9.5%. Okay? So that first row has a 9.5% tax to get you to, I think the magic number is then 17. Otherwise, virtually everything other than some RV storage or RV park. RV park also has a different tax, and that is 10.5? Tourism tax, okay? So that's got a 10.5% tax rate. Otherwise, those three lines, to the best of my knowledge, RV park and single day cart rental have a different tax other than 8.5.
I'd like to add something to that as well. So that we could remain competitive and so that our membership got the benefit of RV park rates that were less than market value, or at least even with market value, we had to decrease the fee for the RV park when we added in the tax just to be competitive. Everything else was increased. There was no other fee decreased anywhere. So,
Dave, we did keep under 6 swimming the same.
Swimming.
Junior golf, the same.
Yeah, RV park and swimming. Right.
Not swimming, under 6 swimming.
Under 6.
Junior golf.
And that's the point that I wanted to make, Director Barfield made. I think it's also important to point out that although the daily rates at the RV park were put in a competitive situation, overall, if a person stayed for a week or longer, the POA actually benefited by more revenue. So, where the magic button came that said we've lowered a lot of other rates, I don't have an answer for, but the truth of the matter is, we didn't.
Right. So on this slide, the private car registration is $500. Okay, want to scroll up? Anything else anyone wants to comment on? Okay.
Also, we did not increase the fee for a guest to play golf here. We left the guest fee for the golf round the same. Only the cart went up.
So, all right, what else?
He wants to go back a little bit. Go back? Yeah, I think somebody wants to look at guest fees.
Yeah.
$28 before we had 13.
28 and 13, and 15, right. Yeah, it has gone up. It went up.
11 to 6. Plus tax. 11 cents.
Then the vote registration, we went through with the motion, so those will be modified. Scroll up.
We divided into four.
Right. Right. Okay. Go up. Anything else? Any other comments? Okay. Scroll up. That dock fee that was included is now been deleted. And the park pavilions went up a bit.
The understanding that they stayed the
Can you
same.
go into the mic, please?
The understanding that they stayed the same is virtually not correct because the basic fee stayed as it was in the past, but you're adding tax on top of that. So actually, the fee went up. You paid tax before, the fee went up the amount of the tax.
So what we're getting is the dollar value of the full fee with the tax going to the entity that's appropriate. Okay? All right. Okay. Let's go on.
I think there was a comment in the open forum that user fees at the recreational facilities did not go up, and in fact, they did as well. So just pointing that out there.
Line 117 is the item, one of the items that did not increase. So we went from $1 to 92 cents plus tax.
Right. Okay, so it stayed the same. Right. Right.
To remain competitive, treat the membership fairly.
That, it was done to remain competitive with the local pools.
Okay. All right. Tennis is included here. Okay. All right. Go. Anything else there? All right. RV park, we tried to be competitive to make that attractive to people that would use our RV facility. Okay. RV park storage, gun range, it all went up because the tax was included as part of that.
line 197. That's the photo ID card for a person who has an unimproved lot, has a $131 charge. That reflects the difference in the assessment fee for an improved lot versus an unimproved lot, plus the $35.
And that's once per lot.
Once per lot.
Second photo ID card costs 35.
35, right. Right.
Those are essentially the same plus tax on that.
So that's, yeah. That's the list. Anyone have any further comments about what we're proposing?
Charlie, would you clarify one thing for me?
Yes, sir.
If a person wants to pay the annual golf fee by the month, you're going to charge us over $100 more to do it that way. Is that right?
Yeah, $10 a month. Okay. Any other comments?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the fee schedule as presented here this evening.
Second?
Any discussion? Call for vote.
To accept the proposed fee schedule with the two amendments as presented at the board tonight. All in favor? It's unanimous, yes vote.
One of the other things that we need to talk about is the actual 2015 budget. I'd like to take just a little bit of time to hit some of the highlights. The board has some work to do regarding a couple of follow-up items with the general manager. And so what I'd like to do, since we've got some members here, is to address just in sort of a summary fashion the kind of the high points of the 2015 budget. We're not going to be approving the 2015 budget by vote tonight because we have a couple of follow-up items that we need to take care of. Okay. Yeah.
Here we go.
There we go.
Okay, we've been through this several times, but we'll go through it again. This is the 2015 budget through the two changes that we've had so far. Some general information. Available funding was insufficient to cover all of the needs, so some priority had to be set for what we could and should not fund. Even though the board did offer some additional priority capital and priority expense in our last meeting, there still is some things that just didn't get funded. 2% general inflation is to be assumed in this budget. We're projecting 45 new home permits and labor.
We have 36 through
Yes.
October of this year.
We're projecting to be over maybe 45 this year.
Yeah, I would think that's a fairly accurate projection.
Yep. And we've got a 2% wage adjustment is included in these numbers that you're going to see. There are two additional full-time positions in the 2015 budget. One is in the recreation division, pending what we do with the tennis contract, facility manager, transition between a contracted tennis professional and a company operation. And that's proposed for the 2015 season when the current tennis contract ends. And whatever works out, that's in this budget about mid-year. And in the last budget session, the Finance Administration has additional employee in the legal collection and foreclosures under Doug's leadership under the legal department. That was added in this number. Correct. That was one that was cut and is being added back. Continuing general information, there are 4 full-time positions that were cut in this 2015 budget. Accounting clerk, an information technology technician, and 2 membership service front employees after the first quarter, and that's due to the software, hopefully the savings in the time that it takes to do transactions, that we plan to do that, and that's already out of this budget after the first quarter. The Association of Self-Insured for Employee Dental Health and Insurance, the budget's projection based on what our history is, economic indicators, and government requirements. POA, this is page 1 of your handout. Starting with golf, as you've already seen, golf rounds are falling. This is the historical 2014 projection. What was projected earlier may not quite make that. 2015 budget is 168,265. Thinking these fees would also drive down about 6% of the rounds. So that is a projection with 6% based on from projection. I get some water, I'm getting dry. But the income that you see from 3,991 projection this year to 4,379 had some of those fees that you've just adjusted, so I'll have to make some changes, but that has the total that we had originally put in our fee schedule. Facility use fees, you've seen some of those fees that were on the schedule. Those are going up based on the photo ID fee, the sales tax. That's a large hit of that from 676 to 769. Boat registrations, that will go up even more to compensate for what we lost in golf. Right now it's projected 340 this year. These are all thousands to 494 next year. Interest on investments, that remains to be seen what that's going to be, but we know it's going to be more than this year. This year was about 82 projection. We're expecting at least 108 based on where we get with our investment policy and find the investment manager and how that's all handled, but we know that will increase. Total transfer fees, that's going to go up based on the transfer fee going from 120 to 150, as you saw on the fee schedule, projecting the same number of transfers, 314 versus 420. And other income covers several items, but the biggest item was the sale to the city of the buildings. We had a 1247 pickup in this item here that was unbudgeted, so that's where the big increase. But other than that, if it hadn't been for that, it would have been a very similar year. But projection is $1,617,000 against $452. And there's several items in here. There's miscellaneous advertising income. All of our publications have advertising. The web have advertising. Those are things that we derive income from. Carroll Electric refunds, we get a refund. We plan to get a refund in February, $75,000. Cell tower rent, food beverage club rent, small gain on disposable assets. Anyway, just going down the miscellaneous things, they all add up to the number $452,000 in the 2015 budget. Total income, therefore, projection is $16,610,000 versus a budgeted number at this point of $16,237,000. And here's the fee schedule and what it did to the impact of the revenues. This was included in last budget numbers. Golf fees projected $584. That will decrease a little now with what we've made some changes tonight. But property transfers bring $84,000 in. Boat registrations $41. That will increase based on the additions y'all made tonight. New lake fee, that will go away. That was $100,000 projected. Photo ID income $63,000. And you can see all the different things. RV park an extra 4, RV storage, gun range, for a total of $905,000. That added to what we had originally proposed. Looking at the total cost of sales, that number is pretty much the same. It's about $396,000, and that's mainly just what we have in pro shops. Gross profit on this budget then is $16,202 projection against $15,841 budget. Going down to the expense section, salaries and wages, as we've already said, we've got a 2% wage adjustment in these numbers. There's one full-time tennis position, and there's one full-time legal collection and foreclosure that we are replacing that was cut earlier. We've got 4 full-time cuts in this budget, taking out the numbers, and another cut that were made in 2014. So we got $6,445,000 projection this year against $6,657,000 next year. Employee benefits, the POA self-insured, as we've already said, for dental and health insurance, we're looking at $1.7 million against almost $1.8. Maintenance and repairs, we've added some items here. We added about $126,000 in the last budget section. We've got $844 projection, now we've got $865 budget. And the priority items that we added back in this budget is the midfield tennis courts resurfacing, approximately $30,000 until we get a firm bid. Bunker sand, we haven't been doing bunker sand, as Tommy said, for several years. Just to save some money, that's an extra $25,000. Repair and lock loam and spillway of $20,000. And extra tree removal on common property where it won't fall on the homeowner's house or buildings and stuff. That's an extra $20,000. We've just had a lot of trees that we've had to replace. And whatever we do in a policy as far as our trees in the future, that may change that, but we've got 20,000 for the extra tree removal. Marina repairs, we've got some repairs around the marina, some of the anchors and stuff that need to be replaced, about 12,000, and just other maintenance items across the division. That's an extra 26,000 we added in the last budget session to this number. Supplies, we added 165,000. We're looking at 990,000 projection against 1,208,000 budget. And we added 165,000 in the last session, replacing golf course maintenance equipment, all the small stuff that they use as far as all the grinders and all the little cutters and stuff like that. That's about 70,000. Adding back golf course herbicide control, another 30,000. Replacing fitness machines, wherever those end up being, about 30,000. Golf cart fuel carts and pump, about 5,000. We've gone from electric carts to gas carts, and so we've got a way to get the fuel to those carts, and then other supplies across the division. Outside contracts, there was not much change in this from the last meeting, 1494 against 1404, and that's just outside contracts for 2014, primarily due to a savings on the gas golf carts. We're saving here, but we're going to spend a little more on fuel, about 40,000 on the golf cart lease. And Cogsdale Software, as y'all have already heard, that's going totally to water, so now water will pick up a lot of the support contract of 38,000 on that, the primary support. Fuel and oil, we've already mentioned, is going from 289 to 376 estimated. Regardless of what fuel prices do, we know we're going to use more fuel just because the golf carts are gas versus electric. Professional services, we went from 212 to 239 last budget session. Math, well, I don't know how to say that word from Arkansas. Math, whatever you say that, and sedimentary depths. It's like looking at land and looking at the elevations. It's the same way you do in the water, just to see where the water depth is, and they're going to also do the sediment depth on Lake Avalon and Lake Loch Lomond. That was added back in this budget. Other expense. We've got advertising. We've got bad debts. Bad debts of 329,000. That's a big number. Board functions. Just a whole bunch of different things. There's no donations. Member relations. Just a bunch of things. From 640 projection to 652, the number's very similar. We missed total expenses. There we go. Total expenses, therefore, projection is $14,658,000 against our budget of $15,165,000. Going down to capital projects, in this budget we've got about $1,449,000 in it right now, and the last year projection was $1,694,000. So a little decrease, but closer to our depreciation number. Our depreciation now is $1,519,000. Our capital projects are $1,449,000. Numbers getting closer. That's better. Looking at the simple cash flow in this budget is 2,922, based on mainly the sale of the city, the buildings, against 95,000. That's positive cash.
So it's basically a break even.
It is a break even at this point. And just to kind of summarize what we went through, all those big numbers and what all it meant, the original projection, the original budget that we brought to the board on 10/27/14 had a cash flow of $234,000. With the fees that the board added, that added the $905,000, and that ended up with $1,139,640. With what we did the last session, priority expenses increased $357,000, almost $358,000. Priority capital increased $665,000. Allocations $22,000. That meant less allocations are coming to the POA and they're staying with water. So that's a little help on water, but it's really costing us just a little of our bottom line. Coming down to the bottom of the $94,000 again that you saw. That's just a simple way by division of showing what's changed in each change in the budget.
So what we're doing is we're at a point now where we're able to start addressing some of the issues that have been deferred and deferred and deferred.
Correct.
And that's a result of some of the increases in user fees that allow us to do that.
Correct. Yeah, we were trying to get to a number where we would be closer to our depreciation, because if we're not funding our depreciation, we're kind of going in the hole because we've got older equipment all the time, and it's more likely to break down.
I mean, we've got older buildings. And
We've got older everything. Yes. 100 buildings.
Just like the residents.
Older people? I didn't say that. Looking at the water utility, same way, do you want to go to the water utility, or you got questions on this budget?
Any questions on water? want to go through that or not? No?
Okay. That's pretty much it, unless you want to see capital, but I've got everything.
So, but the budget here is, when you say 94,000 provides cash flow, it will be less than that based on taking some of the things and adjusting them out, correct?
It'll be slightly, yes.
Okay. All right.
And I can revise the numbers and get that to you.
Yeah, that's what I would suggest at this point is we need to do a little revision based on some of the discussions that we've had, and then what we will do is bring this forward to the working session in December so that we've got everything buttoned up, and then we can vote on it in the December board meeting. Okay? Everyone understand that? Okay. All right. So that's it for the budget discussion. The next item is board candidate announcements. The Bella Vista Property Owners Association is searching for members to serve on its board of directors. Property owners interested in running for one of 3 seats on the board of directors may obtain a petition packet from POA Corporate Secretary Kathy Ferguson at the Bella Vista Country Club here at 98 Clubhouse Drive. Petition packets must be returned to Kathy Ferguson by January 5th, 2015. Certified candidates will be announced at the January 15, 2015 board meeting. The seats currently held by myself, Mike Erickson, and Joan Lipsinski are for the 3-year term. Terms will begin June 1st, 2015. Anyone have any questions about this process? You can contact Kathy Ferguson at 855-5012. Okay. Next item is committee reports, rules and regs. Mike?
Since we spent a lot of time this evening, I'd kind of like to shortcut this by saying that the policy 3.03, policy 1.01, 1.03.3, and bylaws article 8, section 2, pretty much relate to changing the name of the communications committee to marketing and communications. I think if everybody sees the general manager's report, we're shifting a lot of emphasis towards marketing to get more people to move to Bella Vista to use our facilities. So I would like to offer those policies and bylaw changes for second reading. We already had first reading on them, to accept them on second reading.
Second? Dave? Any discussion? The only thing I would add is this is basically a housekeeping issue to conform what we're doing to the bylaws that and policies that we currently have. Call for a vote.
The motion is to accept policy 3.03, policy 1.01, policy 1.03.3, and bylaws article 8, section 2 on the second reading. All in favor? Unanimous vote.
There's one other item, and that's policy 9.04, and I apologize, I don't have a copy of it here. This is a revision to the policy regarding POA board election and political candidates' use of our facilities, and it's really to make a modification to the use of POA common property for political signs, posters, and other forms of conspicuous campaign materials. So I would like to offer this for approval at first reading.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion? Anyone have any discussion? I would like to clarify that what we're doing with this modification to this policy is recognizing that we now have a bit more contested elections in our city, and we have a concern with the Property Owners Association remaining essentially independent in terms of endorsing any candidates, but also being in a position, according to what we're trying to set up as uniform, consistent guidelines to allow the use of our facilities for campaign purposes under conditions that everyone would follow. And we're also recognizing that in instances where there are political signs, that what we want to do, rather than trying to go to the GIS maps and figure out where the property owner's boundaries in the Metfield area are, or where they might intersect with city right-of-way in different areas of the city, is to recognize that the signage for political purposes would be restricted in proximity to existing POA active facilities. So if you're going into Reardon Hall, we'd like that to be kind of a campaign-free area, and similar things like that. So that's the purpose of the modification of the existing policy. When we looked at this initially, it was more focused on board elections to the POA, and what we want to do is just expand it to other political campaigning. So we're trying to come up with something that we think is a bit workable.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, exactly. but that, call for vote?
The motion is to accept the amendments to policy 9.04, political candidates and use of facilities on a first reading. All in favor? Any opposed?
That's it for rules and regs. Okay. The Communications Committee met on Monday, November 3rd. We again got a report from Al Patterson and the ambassadors, and they've been contacted by a number of individuals, and we now have some ambassador cards that they can use for handouts, and so there's some coordination referencing the ambassadors on the POA website. We are in the process of conducting interviews for a marketing position. This is basically a replacement for the position that was the communications manager position, so we're not adding a head count. What we're doing is transitioning from a more focused area in communications to a more focused area in marketing. So that's ongoing. And then we talked about the monthly insights publication and how we could better utilize that as a mechanism to get information out to the membership. So we're looking at that. And then we talked about the reference to the Money Magazine article, which a number of you have seen, and how we could communicate and promote and distribute that article without running afoul of the copyright infringement issues that we have. So that's a report from the Communications Committee. Any joint advisory committee reports?
Golf committee met last week. They are concerned about golf rounds. They're trying everything possible to come up with ideas and work with the stay and play packages and things of that nature and bring more people in to play golf and more golf rounds. They also went over their 2014 tasks they were given in January to make sure they had completed each of them, and they felt very confident that they had done what was asked of them and ready to move on to 2015.
Okay. Right. Recreation Committee met on November 10th, talked about the archery range and that progress that's going on. Talked about the final trail plan meeting that took place on November 13th. That's coordinated through the Bella Vista Foundation. There was some discussion about the Bella Vista 50th Anniversary Committee meeting with the Recreation Committee after the first of the year. They've already met with the Golf Joint Advisory Committee and also are talking with the Lakes Joint Advisory Committee. And then other than that, there was discussion about the Tanyard Creek erosion control process. and the fact that there's going to be some work done to remove the fallen trees and some of the debris as a result of the flood to bring that back to the condition that it was prior to August of 2013. Any other Joint Advisory Committee reports?
Lakes combined November and December, so it happens in 2 weeks.
Okay, that's fine. The next General Manager Board First Thursday meeting will be actually Tuesday because of the compressed schedule in December because of Christmas holidays. So we'll meet December 2nd in the Country Club Boardroom. This is a closed discussion meeting. The next Board of Directors work session is Thursday, November 4th at 8 o'clock in the Country Club Board meeting room. The next Board of Directors regular meeting is Thursday, December 11th, 6:30 in the Country Club Board meeting room. Any other items?
Charlie, just one?
Yes.
I'd like to just take a moment to recognize any veterans in our audience in this room tonight. Stand up, please. I want to thank you, gentlemen. I want to thank you for your service and what you've contributed to allow all of us here to have this lovely place to live, and what it means to me is a whole bunch. Thank you.
Thank you. Very well said, Bob. Very well said. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Second? All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.